Okay, so hi, my name's Jordan Allen Eaton, and this video is to document and demonstrate some of my composition techniques with Cubase and a variety of other VST libraries, virtual instruments. There's pianos, there's harpsichord, various strings, and a choir. If you get the choir to load, they're still in the parking lot. They're arguing about who's going to walk us first. Anyway, so so yeah. I guess what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna do a brief medley of a number of selections of my compositions. I'm not sure if I'll be able to hit them all. I'll have to think about it. But I'm gonna start with yeah. Like this ball. Yep. Another thing. Pretty rather bigger thing, I would say. Oh, it's the same, however. In here. Wait, sponge. Right here. This chair to be sitting in? A short, Benny's high chair. A little coloring book. Okay. His purpose. Kind of far though. I have it separated, I think, immediately. Um, yeah, George. What? What? No, because you shot it halfway through. I don't know. Why did you? Charles? A little bit. Well, I don't know what I thought of it. Anyway, yeah, so that's today that. Oh, Jesus, Sam. Um, mm, right. Um, Sam. Sam. Go ahead, go ahead. Yeah. Thing is, I never actually played this song all the way through once. Maybe because there's three pianos, but it's like, yeah. Trying to get it to be solos. Quantum with it. Thanks. Yes. Sit down with it. I'm sorry. I've cleaned it up a bit, and I've input my. This is a version of it that I've done some work on with the keys, and I think a couple of the instruments. I think harpsichord got some got. Oh, this harpsichord didn't get touched yet. Strings haven't been voiced yet. Putting the voices out into the bass, cellos, altos, violas, and violins. Um, that's the problem with the ensemble is that it gives you the appropriate ranges for all of them. It doesn't sort of exceed what the instrument would physically be capable of playing necessarily. but it doesn't voice it out right. It doesn't say, okay, this is now a violin, this is a viola. So you have to go in and decide which is going to move which. Because there is some overlap with the instruments, of course. So deciding which instrument is important, and it's also important to note that there's also different articulations of different strings. So there's the sustains, but then there's also the spiccatos, which are, of course, going to be in the string stabs, but noted as spiccato, and so including those with their own articulations and everything, and notes, and yada yada yada. Also the solo instruments. There's a cello solo, there's a violin, there's a double bass solo, and a violin solo, two violin solos. And then there's the symphony. Putting that on a rhythm line. Oh boy, this is long. Settings. Yeah. Sort of what should it look like for activity? I have to go look at some examples here. Oh, there's what markings in it. Yeah. I have to go back research and realize what different heights or notes that I need to be using. Fortunately, it seems like Cubase has a good enough score editor inside of the program itself that I don't need a supplementary program in order to do the notation. It's just I need to learn how to use this one. Sibelius is a bit clunky for me, but I think it's just my approach to it because it's new and I don't know it at all. The interface seems very unfamiliar. It doesn't seem very intuitive. But Cubase, being in the same program and being in the same you know, schematic layout and kind of design and look, it's probably going to aid in my ability to learn it with a bit of more inclined aptitude and ability. Yeah. Practice makes perfect. Right. Mm. It's just tedious. The composing part's fun. It's the writing it down part. Um, but doing it right. Because someone once said it's not so much that you're understood, it's that you're not misunderstood. Because it's very important that it's an instruction manual and it needs to be um, treated as such. So you need, if you want to look at the picture on the box, you need to include some very specific instructions and, if necessary, the proper tools on how to assemble it. So that's basically the long and short of it there. I'm gonna go with what's an I working on just a minute ago. We've been working for the past couple of days. Maybe say that. Oh, this has me real. Yay, sweet. That's what I have in the ring time. Fantabulous. I'm hoping that my graphics card doesn't overload with the fact I'm doing a video and trying to run Cubase at the same time. Walking something in Pennsylvania, I'm not sure. I like fun. Pennsylvania. I've never been to Pennsylvania. Um, what do you think? I see where we go. All right. This year, I haven't even split these up in base to flip like bottom to the let's try to do that. So, Cubase is doing its best to work within what it knows and what it's being told, and it's trying to make every note that you play show up on the page in some way within the confines of the notation. I suppose well, the rules, it's considering your time signature, um, what note gets the beat and which divisions and whatnot. So it'll break things into triplets when you really don't intend it to, but that's just it's the closest approximation of what it can represent on the screen. And it'll the MIDI and the score aren't exactly they're not direct reflections of each other. The score is an interpretation of the MIDI, which is literal. It's just ones and zeros, and it's a trigger on and off, on and off. And the computer program knows what the metronome is set at, so it quantizes that way to its best ability. But there's still a little bit of overhang and a little bit of overlap. So a dotted eighth note will show up on insert, that's just an eighth. Or sometimes I have it like a double dotted 16th note if I'm working with 30-second notes. So it gets a little hanky, and it's when the note editor comes in really handy. Because you can uh, edit the note data by hand. Let's take this for example. Oh, yeah, I don't know the thing. Let's see here. Blow that up. So this is all pretty well quantized, but these here, they're too short of a note and they're not quite on the beat. So just move them over like that. So you hear a lot of clicking. You hear a lot of clicking because when I come back to my score editor, you'll find that these notes are now nice and tidy on the beats, and it takes a little bit of massaging sometimes to get it to go, and sometimes I have to resign to using some markings and dynamic markings, expressive, or Sharando, um, using fermatas and things like that to hold my notes a little longer. Even changing time signatures. It seems like it wouldn't be necessary, but sometimes those notes are held just too long. I can't justify it just being held or slower than the metronome because everybody else is still kind of going at their own pace, but this one is yeah. So we have to kind of march in the same band. So it's considering those compromises and what is appropriate and when. And the final mix is a bit of a sometimes it can be a bit of a challenge because we're working with different instrument libraries from different production companies, so they have different audio qualities to them, different envelopes. But most of them have a lot of sliders and adjustments that you can make individually, so you can determine like how much reverb each instrument gets, and depending on latency, like the delay in time between when I press the key and there's a little bit of latency. There's a split second, but pretty little. Uh, Making adjustments for that um, can be tedious. I mean, it looks kind of funky on the screen because it's not quite lined up because the trigger happens and then the sound happens, a fraction of a second later. So looking at keeping that all organized in your mind is a little taxing at moments. But then there's also the sound design portion of it where you can go in and create your own instruments. You can sample anything. You bring any sound sample you want, a bird calling, a cat crying, a car crash outside, and you can bring it in as a MIDI file, and it'll become an instrument. Um, you can play it; it'll be tuned to any note you want it to be tuned at, and you can play it reverse, backwards. You can trim the sound wave to whatever frequency you want. It's basically one-stop shopping with Cubase. I could export a picture. Somebody had a video that they wanted me to add a music to. They could send me the video, and it would play in a little box on the right-hand side of the screen, and I could play the time code and play the cues, and that would be pretty gnarly, cool, off the hook. but for the most part, I think I've kind of touched all the bases I wanted to touch. I don't want to yammer on for too long. I'm not quite finished with this one yet. So, where am I? The measure 12 is where it gets fun. Yeah. Ribbing a lot of information. Transition never wasn't so wasn't smooth on it. See, it's kind of like thrown out the window and it's kind of slow motion to the ground. Especially when all those brass things are going that far out. No, no, no. Oh yeah. Let's see. Ah, a bit more melodic. That's it. See that maybe. Going through it and smoothing out all the choir so that it's so sudden and harsh and putting all the expression maps in. It's just fun. So you have to draw on the screens. So, I wouldn't say it's a perfect balance between man and machine. I'd say this is so much we've done with the ergonomics and especially my setup. It's not quite great. Human friendly. I, there's some interesting wrist extensions and twists that are required to get the mouse to go, and but will do. Yes, in my family, I do tend to have a voice that, for whatever reason, is drowned out by the others, and so if I'm going to get anything heard, I need to speak fast and staccato da 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 and get it out. Because if I don't get it in edgewise, it doesn't get out. It doesn't get out at all. By the time the conversation comes back around the table, we're on a completely different subject, and what I had to say was completely irrelevant. But you're right. I need to be more articulate and to slow it down because not everybody can keep up with that. So I need and it lends a bit to my stuttering problem and my stammering because my brain gets a bit ahead of what up and my mouth can articulate and then bleh, bleh. That thing when words come out and they don't make sense. So we want to avoid that. Anyhow, that being that, I am going to ask Sam some concrete here. Sam, Sam. All right. He find no hiding spot, so I'm not trying to discourage anything right now. So, um, go get to Ergosun. I think therefore I am. And right. Thank you for remembering to separate your recyclables.